Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another, or not another, but here is my Deadpool and Wolverine review. First of all, I'm going to do a non-spoiler review first. I'll give some thoughts on it just sort of in general, and then I'll get into a spoiler review and I'll talk about just what happened, the chaos of like everything, and yeah, because there was quite a bit in this movie. Like there was honestly a lot of moments I've been really dreaming of for a long time. One of my favorite characters of all time actually shows up in this movie, and yeah, we'll talk about that once we actually get to like the spoiler part of the review here. So this movie, I will say, you know, going into the movie, my thoughts on the movie overall, never really cared that much. I'm in the last like week or two, or like longer than that, last couple of months, I've been so excited for the movie. And whenever they would announce things, I'd be like, oh, that looks really good. But my whole thing right now with Marvel is I do feel very fatigued by it. For sure. Like it's a lot of the multiverse stuff. It's a lot of everything that I'm not the biggest fan right now of Marvel specifically. And definitely after Endgame, I got to a point where I was like, I think that I am just kind of done with Marvel. That was a good way to like sort of bookend all of that. You know, since then I have watched Spider-Man No Way Home. I've also watched Doctor Strange, number 2 anyways. I don't know what it was called, something Madness or Multiverse of Madness. I watched that. You know, I enjoyed those movies. I did. It didn't really have any sort of rejuvenation feeling there for myself though, but I still enjoyed that, but I was just like, I don't know, kind of feels done. And so does this movie rejuvenate my excitement for Marvel? No, but I think it's because we don't really know where they're going next, and this movie ends in a way where it seems like it's kind of set up. There's some kind of thing there potentially, but it's very, very hard to say. It's very, very uncertain, and I just don't think we can completely say that yet. But Comic-Con is going to be on Saturday, so I think we'll get a lot of clarification then. And I do think they need to announce a bunch of stuff. They need to like really like get us all very, very excited. Like as exciting as it was watching those cameo scenes, that's the level of excitement that Marvel has to bring to Comic-Con this Saturday, I believe, because if it's not that level of excitement, then I just don't really care, because there's so much of the next projects coming out that I just do not care to watch. So in terms of that, you know, I was looking to see if it would rejuvenate my excitement for Marvel. Didn't really, but movie is amazing. The movie, I think, the action scenes are so good. There's a lot of gore in the movie. Like there's a lot. I think all the fight scenes are probably the best that I've seen in Marvel in quite some time, to be honest. There's quite a bit. The comedy is the best of all 3 movies, and I'll just say that right now, ranking all 3 Deadpool movies, this one's my favorite. It would go Deadpool 3, Deadpool 1, and then Deadpool 2 was my least favorite. Deadpool 3 is just absolutely amazing, and obviously talking about cameos is not really that spoilery, because obviously we knew that cameos were going to be in this, right? And you know, the cameos aren't there to just like pop up and that's it. I think that there's definitely more of a story there for all of them, and they actually are involved quite a bit, and the reveals, how they get revealed, is just amazing. Like I wasn't expecting 3 characters, 4 actually, maybe it was just 4, maybe 5 characters. Like I really wasn't expecting a lot of characters to show up in here. Some characters I thought might show up and didn't. We'll talk about that in spoilers, but this movie is so fun, you know, and I think this is one of those movies that you can watch it and you can rate it like, you know, a 10 out of 10, and you kind of right if you rate it a 10 out of 10, I think, based off of excitement, but you do kind of have to step back and look at it a little bit, you know, and just be like, well, how is this as a movie compared to all the other movies, you know, because there's a lot of recency bias. Like once you come out of a movie theater, you're so excited and all that. How do you feel about the movie? How is the story structure? I think the story structure isn't as bad as what other people are saying online. There's definitely some things there where maybe the reveals of certain moments could have been better in terms of the story, but it is pretty clear what's happening with the story. It's just I think the pacing hurts the story, because characters can be here, they're sent here, they go here, now they're going back, and it's just like you don't understand really the point of a lot of it, or it's like you do get the point, but it's the way everything is just, there needed to be way more backstory, I think, and way more setup for certain moments there, especially with the villain, who I love. The villain Cassandra Nova is a really amazing Marvel villain. I just, you know, if there's any, I don't think there's any negative reviews saying she's not, but if there is, I really disagree. She was really, really creepy in a lot of scenes, and I thought was probably, she's not one of the best Marvel villains of like all time, obviously not. She's not up there, but she's not also a Marvel villain that is just there for the sake of the plot because there needs to be a villain. Like, there is more to it than that, but there is still that element there. So that's why for me, and my rating of this is, it's a 9 out of 10. I can't go with a 10 out of 10 exactly, because a 10 out of 10 to me would be, this movie is a masterpiece of a movie. And I would have to compare it to Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, and I would have to really compare it to exactly how well done those movies were, because the story for both of those movies was done so well, built up so much. And you could argue that, yeah, this movie, it's not supposed to be that really. This movie is supposed to be more of, this movie's just supposed to be fun, but you know, that argument I feel like kind of fails, because then Twisters was a lot of fun. There's a lot of movies that have come out that are just fun. You know, you just shut your brain off, you watch, and it's a lot of fun. And so I feel like, I don't agree with that necessarily. And like, in my opinion, I think that it has that, but I think you need to look at it through like a critic's view. And I don't like to do that. I really don't. I think you just go based off of, you know, how you enjoyed it. You know, I watched it with my brothers and whatnot. Two of them rated it 10 out of 10, and then my other brother rated it 9 out of 10. And yeah, I mean, fair. People all watch movies differently, and that's totally fine. No one's, you know, opinion's right or no one's opinion's wrong. Just sort of how they view it. And I personally, I would rate this a 9 out of 10. And again, it's still a really good rating. Like, you know, rating it 9 out of 10, I think because everyone else was rating it 10s out of 10s, basically, that I felt like I was the one rating it or giving it a bad review, but I'm not. It's a really incredible movie, like a really, really incredible movie. The best Marvel movie that has come out since Endgame. And there may have been a couple before that this one just completely beat. So go and check it out. This is going to be the end of my non-spoiler review. If you haven't watched it yet and you're excited, the cameos are amazing. You're not expecting it. The reveals of all of that. I don't even want to talk about the fact that there's cameos either, because there's just, like, if you're a long time Marvel fan, I don't even want to say that. That's too spoilery. Anyways, I'll end this here. 9 out of 10. That's my review for Deadpool and Wolverine. And yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. If you've watched it, try to be non-spoilery, or if you're going to give spoilers, and I'm just going to say there's going to be comments, obviously, of people talking about spoilers in general. So if you're going to talk and give spoilers in the comment section, just actually put the spoiler tag there. And then, yeah, just because obviously some people haven't watched it yet. But when I was avoiding spoilers, I just stayed away from the comment section, because you're going to run into something, right? So yeah, I'll see you guys on the spoiler side. So, spoilers for this movie. Oh, man. Where do I even start? We just recorded a podcast actually going way more in depth with this here, but let's start in the beginning. The very first scene that we see of everything here, Deadpool and Wolverine, is Deadpool running away from the TVA. Actually, not quite yet. He's trying to find Logan, and obviously we all know, because the movie's called Deadpool and Wolverine, this and that, and he goes and actually digs up Logan's bones from like the Logan 2017 version of the character. And I didn't know what to expect when I was watching that. I was like, I think they're going to show him maybe rejuvenating a little bit, but no, it's just completely bones. Like, he's dead. Like, it literally is adamantium or adamantium bones, just completely, like, he is dead. This Wolverine is gone. Kind of sad, but kind of cool with what they did with it in terms of the you know, the actual like fight scenes and all of that. That first sequence was just like, okay, we're in for a ride here. This is going to be a really incredible movie here. And the TVA shows up, and very, like, for me, it feels so weird to have the TVA involved in a lot of this. And I think a lot of that was set up in Loki, obviously. I think Loki really got into the whole TVA storyline and exactly what that meant for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we learned that his timeline is basically, it's gonna die. I mean, it's gonna take a couple thousand years, which is kind of interesting, but the guy that's sort of running all of that, he doesn't want to wait that long. He's just like, I just want to deal with this now, kind of thing. And so Deadpool, he was like, you know, he's the anchor in this universe, though he's actually not. It's Logan. Logan died in 2017, so ever since that happened, this universe is gonna die now, which I feel like just that comment there, just really, like, you're paying respect to Logan and who Logan is, right? So I really like that. I thought that was a really incredible nod to that character, and they show the Logan scene so much in this movie that it felt like this was the proper it makes his final movie so much better, because his final movie was very, very emotional. Like, it's one of the best Marvel movies of all time. For me, top 5, easily top 5. And that's the thing with this movie, and that's like a whole debate you can have over movies, but like, is this movie better than Logan 2017? This movie's more fun, but that story's better. And that's where you can get into a whole thing of debates. And this is why I don't like to rate and like review episodes a lot or like movies a lot, because it can change a lot. It changes over time in terms of, you know, just how you do that. So you have to look at it like an overall scale, which is what I'm going to try and do in this video here. And I'm going to try to do it more formally and have like fancier graphics and all that for other movie reviews, because this is like my first movie review that I'm doing here. So Deadpool needs to find Logan. Actually, first he just kind of leaves, but that is his goal. He's going to go and find Logan and then bring him back basically and be like, all right, I found him. Let's put him back in our universe. And then there we go. There's a Logan there. And then our universe should be fine, right? And so he goes and finds Logan. And there's a bunch of different Logans. Like, there's the short Wolverine, you know, that's very comic accurate. There was Henry Cavill. I think they're calling him the Calvolrine or whatever. That was a really cool scene. Just all of that was really amazing. I mean, I'm gonna miss a bunch of them, but there were so many different Wolverines. This is why doing a review by myself is hard, because if there was someone else there, they might have remembered and they would just like remind me. But because I just literally got back from the movie theater, so I would say that seeing all the Wolverines there were absolutely incredible. There was actually a scene of Wolverine and the Hulk. I'm very disappointed though that we didn't see much of the Hulk. It was just the back of his head. I was wondering, you know, was it Edward Norton's the Hulk, or is it Mark Ruffalo's? It seems like it was Mark Ruffalo's, but again, very hard to say. I feel like maybe because of budget they could have commit to like one actor or one, you know, version of Hulk, and so that was just Hulk. Looks like it's like the 2012 Hulk kind of, but it could also pass for like an older Hulk as well. So kind of hard to say, but again, I was kind of disappointed. That was the first moment, well, first moment of 2 where I felt disappointed with the movie in terms of the cameo scenes and all of that. But eventually you find Logan, and he's like the worst Logan in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's revealed why that happens, but he basically just lets the X-Men down. He doesn't want to join because he doesn't want to wear that suit, which is kind of funny because now he's wearing the suit, but he didn't want to wear that suit, and it's revealed later on what happens, but he basically just let them die, and then he ended up killing a bunch of other people, innocent people as well, which basically gave the name Wolverine a bad name. And Deadpool eventually takes this Wolverine to the TVA. Eventually they get pruned, and then they end up in the void, and they're just sort of, they're lost there. They're wondering, where am I, this and that. And we get this really epic fight between Deadpool and Wolverine, which I thought was like, I mean, Hell's Bells plays. And so I was already just like so excited about that. And I mean, out of all the fights, this one was like my least favorite, which is kind of insane to say, because this is a really good fight. It's a really, really good fight. They made a joke about 20th Century Fox, which I found really funny. A lot of jokes in general about Marvel, in the state of Marvel, like, oh, I can't even, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get through all of them, but there was a lot of jokes just about the MCU being, you know, very, very much focused on the multiverse stuff, way too much. And at one point, Wolverine's like joining them, and then he makes the joke like, yeah, you're joining them at the low point right now. When I laughed at that. Like, they called out everything. Like, there was actually a joke about Hugh Jackman's divorce, which that at the audience, actually, at the movie we watched, they were just like, oh, like, obviously Hugh Jackman's going to be in on that joke. And I think that joke was obviously fine from him. I mean, it was a funny joke. It was funny because I'm sure he okayed the joke and stuff. And but eventually someone shows up, and we're not sure who this is, and just like all this, they're yelling and this and that, and then we see a bunch of vehicles showing up. They're sort of driving around, and it's revealed that Toad is there. There's Sabretooth, Pyro, I believe, is actually there. And I don't know who else was there. There was more reveals when they actually got back to, I guess, Cassandra Nova's, I guess, base there, which is basically Giant Man, or the helmet of Giant Man anyways. And there's this mysterious figure that's like standing up above, and we're all like, well, who is this? And you can kind of see the blue and the red, and you're like, oh, is this Captain America? And then they jump down, and you're like, who is this? And then all of a sudden it's revealed with, I think he just takes the hood off or something like that, and it's revealed that it's Chris Evans. That Chris Evans is back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'll just say, just seeing him back, I was like, this is absolutely, like, this is what Marvel needed. Like, there's something about those actors that just, like, they make it Marvel. I don't know what it is. It's just, there's excitement there. But yeah, Deadpool's all excited. He's like, oh, we have Captain America back, this and that. And And he's about to say, because there's a bunch of cars coming here, obviously there's Sabretooth and all these other villains showing up here, and so he's about to say, or Deadpool thinks he's about to say, Avengers assemble, but no, just as Deadpool's saying it, he's like, Avengers, and then Chris Evans, or I guess Johnny Storm, says flame on, and then my theater completely freaked out. As soon as that happened, everyone was cheering. Like, that was such an incredible moment. And I wasn't like seeing that. I was kind of expecting it. I figured that it might be him because of what he was wearing. I originally thought that. Like, when I first saw him, I was like, okay, that has to be the Human Torch. But then all of a sudden, there was a blue and red, and the way they were acting, I'm like, is this a variant of Captain America? I wasn't sure what was going on. But then once he said flame on, I was like, oh man. Like, this is Johnny Storms, right? And I just think like what they did there in that scene, just my excitement for Marvel in general right there. I was like, this all feels right. Like, this feels absolutely amazing. But a bunch of the plot, a lot of stuff goes by. There's just a lot of stuff with Cassandra Nova. They end up leaving. They're lost somewhere. And then eventually they find this cave. Actually, before that, there's a really amazing scene, like crazy fight scene in a car. And music's playing. I think you have You're the One That I Want from Olivia Newton-John, or I guess Grease or whatever. Amazing fighting. Like, absolutely incredible. Like, there's so much just gore and everything in the scene that it's just like, again, because both characters can just heal, so it's like it doesn't really matter, right? And so you have both characters going through all of that, and then eventually they fight like all night. It's daytime, and then it goes to the license plate, and then you can see that it's getting darker and darker, and then it's the morning again, but they're all passed out. Deadpool's like wrapped up in a bunch of like seat belts or whatever, and then a mysterious person shows up and just like drives the car, takes them somewhere. Deadpool wakes up, and then Wolverine's drinking and all of that. And he's like, I love this place. And then we get the craziest reveals of Elektra actually made her return from Daredevil. I was not expecting that. That was like, honestly, again, I had two disappointments with this movie. It was the Hulk, the fact that we didn't get to see more of what we did, and Sabretooth, which happened previously. Him and Logan or Wolverine had a really cool fight scene, but it ended so fast that I was just like, was that really worth it? I mean, I guess they added to the scene. I'm glad it happened more than it didn't happen, but I wanted a little bit more there, a little bit more of an actual scene. Because I think he would have served really well with that overall story there. I think that we needed more recognizable faces just in that area, because a lot of the fighting that happened there felt pointless, like they were fighting really no one, right? So seeing all three of them was amazing. Like Electro, there was Wesley Snipes as Blade. This movie confirmed to me that he is the only one that can actually play Blade. Like, I know that there's another actor right now. I don't know a lot about the next Blade movie and what's going on. I've heard things of like it's kind of falling apart a little bit. There's a line in here where he says something like, I'm like the one and only Blade or something. And I was just like, I wonder, because Marvel had to okay all of that, right? Like, okay, all the dialogue said. I don't know if that was just a joke because that's him saying that, or if they were like, yeah, you know what, we can't really recast Blade, because I don't know what it is about Wesley Snipes, but he is just the character, right? And really incredible to actually see Wesley Snipes just there. And especially with, I heard some of the drama or whatnot. Apparently there was drama between him and Ryan Reynolds and like filming in the Blade movies and whatnot. So the fact that all of that's been sorted out, it seems like, it worked. He had a really amazing scene with like the bazooka and all of that. That was really cool. Gambit as, or not Gambit, but you had Channing Tatum playing Gambit. And I have been so skeptical about this for years. So first of all, Gambit, out of everyone in the MCU, Gambit is my number one favorite character. I had the toy growing up. I always played with that toy. That was my favorite toy of all time. I wish I still had that toy. You know what? I might actually, after I'm done this review, go and buy that toy. I actually might do that. The old like Marvel Legend toys from like back in the day, because I absolutely love Gambit as a character, like a lot. And I was so skeptical because I was like, you need to get that right. And they got the uniform, like everything about the character, so well done. I was just mind blown by like how well done that they did all the characters, like everyone showing up. I was just like, and it wasn't just like cameos for the sake of cameos. Again, they're there to actually add to the story. There's a lot of dialogue there. Like Gambit sounds like Gambit as well. Like it was just crazy to see that. And also X-23. I always forget about that. We kind of forgot about that in the pod because they reveal those three characters there, and then there's a bunch of story that happens and scenes and whatnot, and then there's a pause, and eventually X-23 shows up. And I don't know if it's the same X-23 from the Logan movie. I'm not entirely sure about that, but you know, she tries to have this connection with Wolverine, and there's a lot of that, you know, and I feel like some of that was there, especially by the end of the movie. You got that by the end of the movie. It made sense. Like, these two characters, you know, it really is like a father and daughter relationship. And so it was nice to see, you know, in terms of the visuals at the very end there, of like, that's a happy family, right? So I'm really happy with how that ended there. But yeah, basically they decide to go and fight Cassandra Nova. They're going to take Juggernaut's helmet and they're going to use that on Cassandra Nova. This way she can't use her powers and kill them all, right? So a bunch of fighting happens and all of that. I'm just going to fast forward through a lot of this because there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's really cool. I mean, the fight scenes, again, were just absolutely incredible to see. Gambit, like, to me, the whole thing, Blade, Elektra, everyone there fighting was just absolutely incredible. But for me, I kept watching Gambit because I've just been wanting to see Gambit, like, fight in any way, and just his cards and like the kinetic energy and like his eyes going purple. He had his staff as well. It was just the jacket. That jacket was so well done. It was just perfect. He's literally the perfect, like the perfect Gambit that I've ever seen in anything, really. Like, I really obviously like Gambit in X-Men 97 and the original X-Men series, but like, it was just so perfect, so well done. I'm so happy that they did that. And this is where some of the story for me kind of, again, it was still kind of at an 8. Like, when I'm saying it's going down, it's because it's like I'm really enjoying this. It's a lot of fun, but it was just like the pacing's a little off. Things are kind of messy here and there. And eventually, once they do leave this area, and after all the Cassandra Nova stuff with Pyro and Wolverine, and he was seeing visions and all of that, once we learn all of that, Wolverine has this breakthrough of, like, you know, just what Charles Xavier meant to him and everything. Really incredible stuff there. But they eventually cut to them back, I guess, or they found the TVA anyways, and Cassandra Nova goes there. There's all of like the dead corpse, I guess, show up. We see like Lady Deadpool, there's baby Deadpool, some really hilarious stuff with like Nice Pool, I guess they're calling him. Like, it's the nice version of Deadpool, who is basically Ryan Reynolds. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. You had Madonna's Like a Prayer playing around this point here, which was the perfect song, and also just the build up to that fight right there where Wolverine took the mask and like put it on. I completely forgot that was probably something that was going to happen. Like, I kept thinking like, it's gonna happen, and I've seen stuff like online that was gonna happen. I just wasn't sure when it was gonna happen, and so I was just like, but again, by the end of the movie, I just kind of forgot. Like, I knew that Wolverine was gonna get his sleeves off as well, and then, you know, earlier in the movie he had his sleeves on, so I was like, okay, so do they CGI that out? I don't think they did. I think later on they eventually he just takes the sleeves off or whatever for like the end of the movie. And so you get the craziest fight scene between Deadpool, Wolverine, and like the rest of like the dead corpse, I guess is what you're calling them. Really incredible. Like, just to see Wolverine, like feral Wolverine, like he jumped up and he had like the, you know, like literally the exact pose, like in the air jumping up like that. Really, like, I have to see that scene again. I want to go see the movie again just specifically for that scene. That was just incredible. You had Madonna's Like a Prayer, like I was saying, playing the entire time, and at the end it was funny because there was so much, like, they killed everybody, and at the end they're all coming back to life and they're like, oh, that's right, they all rejuvenate. Not the Nice Pool, which was like, again, the scene was just hilarious in general, but then the ending scene happens here, and I know I'm skipping through a lot. Like, there's so much to talk about in this movie. This review would end up being like an hour long, unless you guys do prefer that. Like, if you guys want a more spoiler filled review where we talk about everything, or at least I talk about everything, then I will do that maybe in the future for other movies. Also, let me know, would you guys like to see more movie reviews like this? I could have a way better setup than what I do right now. I could put lights everywhere. Oh, my camera's moving. But I can put lights everywhere, just really upgrade everything, because I haven't done that, and I probably should have done that, but I haven't been on camera a lot. So just like, I think just really, like, the story was just so, it was really well done in terms of how they capitalized on all of the cameos and where they were pushing the story a lot, all the way to the moment of Cassandra Nova now wants to destroy all of the timelines in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and just leave the void so that she can basically be the ruler of all of that. And that's where I have some criticisms, because you don't really see that motivation. Like, she learns it here and there. It's very messy in how a lot of that is handled, but it's handled well. Like, it's messy, but it's handled well. It's not like excellent or great, but there are some issues there, and that's why I can't give it a 10 out of 10, because I feel like if it's a 10 out of 10, a lot of those issues are going to be way more clear, so that when she dies, it's way more emotional, this and that. So that's why I kind of have to give it a 9 out of 10. Again, a 9 out of 10 is still really, really high rating. I'm just trying to not be, biased just because I watched the movie out of the theaters, because obviously coming out of the theaters you have all this excitement, like, oh, it's so a 10 out of 10, right? I'm sitting back on it a little bit here, and I'm just like, I can see where there might be some issues here. I think that was sort of the motivation there, some of the story, the pacing, and how they explained a lot of that. There's just some issues there where I have to dock 1 point, just 1 point off, and that's why it's 9 out of 10. But the very ending scene, you have Deadpool and Wolverine. Basically, they grab I don't know what that is, just something to do with the timeline, like these energy forces or whatever that are like in these tubes, and it's only them two that can actually do it, and they're holding on, and then I guess they win. They basically win. Really incredible, just dramatic music, and then that was basically it. The ending of the movie is Wolverine, and they're basically friends now, and they're hanging out at Deadpool's apartment. Wolverine meets all of Deadpool's friends. Wolverine and X-23 had a really amazing scene where you had Dogpool there, and they're just like so happy and all of that, and then you had Deadpool, who was reconnecting with his girlfriend as well. So it was a really nice happy ending. And in terms of where this goes for the future of Marvel, there was a scene just beforehand where Deadpool's like, we didn't just do this all by ourselves. There's other people that helped us as well. I think referencing Blade, Elektra, Gambit, and I guess X-23, a lot of other characters. And I think that, he was just kind of like, can we help them out, this and that? And the TVA's response is just like, I'll see what I can do. Like, we'll see. Which I think leaves the door open to seeing Gambit again, and Blade, and like all those other characters there. And and then we get the funny post-credits scene where we see Deadpool's like, oh, like, I'm gonna get him. Like, everyone said that I was responsible for killing Johnny Storm, that I said all that stuff. I'm gonna get him. And so there's an actual recording of him just going off, just saying like a bunch of crazy, just really mean things about Cassandra Nova. And again, we didn't see it before because I guess that was just on their drive there. And Deadpool has it all on videotape now, and he walks away and he's like, I gotcha. And everyone laughed. Really incredible. Also in the post-credit scene, they really did make this like a goodbye to the Fox Marvel movies. And I kind of felt a little sad watching that, like a little emotional. Like, that was really incredible. I remember, for me personally, watching X-Men for the first time, like X-Men 1, X-Men 2, when all those movies came out. Because I was a kid, I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, right? When those movies came out. And I was such a big fan of those movies. X-Men Last Stand happened, and I was just so destroyed by what the movie, I think, did to just that story. And because X-Men 2 was so fantastic. And so I was so disappointed with that. This was around the same time that I watched Dead Man's Hand, I believe. It was around there, and I saw that Jack Sparrow died, and I was just like, oh, man. And so I remember being like, 12, 13 years old or something, just being like, all the movies I liked, I don't care for anymore. Like, this just unfortunate. But you look at Marvel throughout the years, like Fox Marvel, like with Fantastic Four, I love those movies. Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, I think, is absolutely incredible. I think if you want to come back to the MCU, play him. Don't play any other variant of Captain America. I don't care for that. Play Johnny Storm. I want to see that character specifically. Really incredible stuff. Like, honestly, it was so cool to see a lot of that. Tony Stark, I thought would have been cool. Other cameos that I thought would have been really nice. I mean, they kind of talked with Tony Stark in the beginning a little bit, like, oh, too expensive. Oh, he doesn't do cameos or something. So, which was very Tony Stark of the whole situation, right? I think that Spider-Man, any of those characters would have been cool to show up, but I guess that makes sense that maybe you're waiting for like Secret Wars to do anything like that, right? So again, I'm gonna rate this movie a 9 out of 10. I think it was a celebration of all the Fox Marvel movies that I really did love. I loved all those movies. It kind of got a little whatever by the end. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan. But I think with what they did in the very beginning moments and, Days of Future Past, I absolutely loved that. I remember watching that and I think I watched that in Santa Monica, actually. That was a long time ago, but I remember I was just at the beach and whatnot, and I was kind of walking around. We were bored. We didn't know what to do. And so me and my ex at the time were like, well, let's go watch a movie. And so we went to the theater, watched Days of Future Past, and I was like, man, that's a really good movie. Really, really good movie. So, the Fox movies, I love those movies. And for this movie, 9 out of 10, really, really enjoyed it. I'm excited for the future. I'm really interested in what Kevin Feige is going to be announcing at Comic-Con, because I feel like you do have to come out like swinging here. Like, you're going to have to announce a bunch of really exciting things, because like if you don't, and it's sort of like, I don't really care, this movie is going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and then it's just going to kind of go away, and then Marvel's just going to be in the same exact place again here. So there's a way that Marvel can come back from this. There definitely is a way. They got to manage this right. I think Kevin Feige can do that. He's done this before. Really amazing movie by Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Everyone from Marvel, 9 out of 10 from me. So post our thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Post your thoughts, and remember to put the spoiler tag beforehand before talking about spoilers. And I'll see you guys in the next one.